Okay, now we're going to talk about the function of deviance, meaning what does deviance create or do in society? And there are both negative effects as well as some social benefits. So, from a functionalist perspective, the idea is that there are negative effects of deviance that can include eroding trust, can cause others to deviate or not conform. It can be expensive. So, for example, if it weren't for all the crime that has been defined by our society, and then the consequences that are attached to those crimes, that creates a lot of costs and requires a lot of resources to keep our criminal justice system up and running. Also, if a high school is a great place for this. If one student sees another student get away with not doing something or breaking the rules, that's going to be influential on possibly that student also not conforming. Eroding trust, if you think back to Bowling for Columbine, Michael Moore focused a lot on the paranoia that is perpetuated either by the media or the news or just other people in general. And because we have cases of deviance for the news to highlight, that can essentially make it so that people do not trust, people become fearful, and again, paranoia for sure. And then think if you guys can think of any other negative effects of deviance. There are also some benefits. If we don't have deviant people, it would be less clear exactly what our social norms are. So deviance helps clarify what social norms are and why and how they are significant. Deviance can also act as a safety valve. So deviance and sort of categorizing people into those who follow the rules and those who do not. Because we have a correction system where people who don't follow the rules are often sent, it helps, in theory, keep the rest of us safe. It increases unity within a group. Looking at our country's response to certain incidents, I think, is a really good example of this. So, for example, after the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001, our country really unified as one against a deviant group. And so that is a clear example of unity that is promoted as a result of deviance. And then deviance can also promote needed social change. For example, right now, one of the many committees I am serving on is the School Improvement Plan Committee, and it's focusing on dress code and looking at how we as a school can help eliminate so many dress code infractions. And so by looking at how many people are not following the rules, it's promoting change, or at least the talk of change that we could have to, again, eliminate deviance at our school. If you can think of other ideas, I would love for you to share them with us in class on Thursday. Okay, right now we're going to focus on four main theories regarding deviance. And the first theory we're going to talk about is the strain theory. And it's very complex and complicated. So please make sure that if my lecture leaves you with questions, and if you go into your book or go online and try to read about the strain theory, if you're still not getting it, please email me or come see me before class on Thursday so that I can clarify. Essentially, the strain theory notes that access to socially acceptable goals plays a part in determining whether a person conforms or deviates. For example, from birth, we're encouraged to achieve the American dream of financial success. A woman who attends business school, receives her MBA, and goes on to make $1 million income as a CEO of a company is said to be a success. However, not everyone in our society stands on equal footing. A person may have the socially acceptable goal of financial success, but lacks a socially acceptable way to reach that goal. And according to this theory, an entrepreneur who can't afford to launch his own company may be tempted to embezzle from his employer for startup funds. Okay, that's an example, but what I need you guys to understand is the strain theory is looking at social goals. So, for example, material success, making $1 million salary, whatever the case may be, that whole idea of the American dream. And then legitimate means refers to the socially accepted ways to achieve the goal. So if the goal is material or financial success, the accepted means is to get a good education and a job. And so what happens if there's something wrong with the goal for a person, or more commonly, if there's something wrong with the socially accepted or legitimate means to achieve that goal? One of 5 things can happen. And so the strain theory has 5 parts to it. And I'm going to now put up a big scary table that shows you a visual of the strain theory. So culturally approved goal of financial and material success. Depending on whether the person accepts or rejects that goal, that person is going to be in a different category. Depending on what a person does to the socially accepted ways to achieve that goal, again, it is going to determine which category or phase of the strain theory a person is in. So, if somebody accepts the cultural goal of success and accepts the cultural goal of working hard for that success, they are in the conformity phase. Hard work leads to success, or works hard to succeed. Sorry, I forgot the R. What happens if somebody accepts, yes, I want to be rich, I want to have material success, but says, you know what, I don't want to work that hard, rejects the idea of working hard? This person often is going to be in the innovation phase where they find illegal ways to succeed. Something as simple as a student taking a test. A student says, I totally want an A. I want to do so well in this test. I'm really lazy and there's a Breaking Bad marathon on, so I'm not going to work hard to study. Instead, I'm going to cheat off one of my classmates, again, because I want the good grade. I'm just not going to take the legal and social accepted route to get there. I'm going to innovate. Not to say if you cheat on a test you're a criminal, but I just wanted to make a relevant example. A societal example would be someone who robs a bank for money. They clearly accept the goal, reject the means, and they did it in an illegal way, so a criminal would be an example. Okay, there are also some people in society who are like, success, trying to make the most out of every single day to get better and just keep climbing that ladder. Not so important to me. I reject that goal. But I'll show up and I'll work and I will be physically present and I will just kind of maintain the status quo. Someone who does that is in the phase of ritualism. This person acts as if he wants to succeed, but does not exert much effort to move up. And an unmotivated teacher would be an example. So if you've ever had a teacher, please don't say any names right now, but if you've ever had a teacher who shows up every day, sits at the desk, and is making sure that there's no emergency in the classroom, but is clearly not trying to really make the class a better experience every day, you could argue that that person is in ritualism. To be fair to my coworkers, I will also say that seniors tend to be in the ritualistic phase, meaning that oftentimes seniors will show up to school every single day. They will have the present box marked in Aries, but they're not trying to get the most out of their education. They're not trying to make each day a better academic or educational experience. So I would say unmotivated teachers and seniors with senioritis would be a great example of someone who is in ritualism. There are also people who say, I don't care about success, and I don't care about doing anything to try to achieve success. I'm going to reject both, and I'm going to be in retreatism, and essentially drop out of the race for success. Sort of become hermits of society. Don't do anything every single day that sort of is a social norm, nor are they ever trying to reach anything that would be considered a social norm. So someone who suffers from alcoholism and it affects their day-to-day lives would be in retreatism. A homeless person who is living on the street and is sort of accepted that way of life would be another example of someone in retreatism. And someone who also rejects the goals and the accepted ways to achieve the goal, however, takes those culturally approved goals of success and hard work and replaces with their own, this is rebellion. And these are people who substitute new ways to achieve a new goal. So militia group member or someone in the KKK. Someone in the KKK probably has different goals for society, and that is to essentially eliminate non-Aryan people. And the way to do that is through violence and hate. So they have goals and they have ways that they believe should be taken to achieve the goal, but they definitely do not match what is socially or culturally accepted. So rebellion is when they not only reject, but they substitute or replace the existing goals. So to clarify, there are 5 phases or paths that someone can take in the strain theory that can lead to deviance. If they accept both, they are on a conformist path, meaning that they are conforming, they are doing what society expects. If they stray off the path in any way, they end up in one of these 4 other phases. Please, 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 if you have any questions, let me know.